Maya lived in a quiet neighborhood that looked very calm and friendly from the outside. The streets were clean, and the houses had beautiful gardens with colorful flowers. Many families walked their dogs or chatted with neighbors in the evenings. It was the kind of place where people felt safe and comfortable. Maya loved this feeling. She had lived there for a few years now, and she liked how peaceful everything seemed. Maya was a strong and independent woman. She had served in the military for many years before moving here. During her service, she had learned many skills, including how to take care of dogs. In fact, Maya had 2 dogs she loved very much. Their names were Max and Roxy. Both dogs had worked with her in the military. They were smart, loyal, and very well trained. Even though they were now retired from their duties, they still followed her commands quickly and were always alert. Every morning, Maya would take Max and Roxy for a walk around the neighborhood. The dogs loved to explore, sniffing flowers and trees along the way. Maya enjoyed the fresh air and the small chats she sometimes had with neighbors. Most people in the area greeted her warmly, often smiling and stopping for a quick talk. It made her feel like she was part of a community. Despite the calm look of the neighborhood, Maya sometimes noticed small signs of trouble. There was a group of young people who hung around a few blocks away. They often spoke loudly and sometimes said things that made Maya uncomfortable. She didn't like to cause problems, so she usually kept her distance. But she couldn't ignore the way some of their words and actions showed a lack of respect for others, especially people who looked different from them. Maya had faced challenges before in her life. In the military, she had learned to stay calm and focused even when things were difficult. She knew how to protect herself and her dogs if needed. Still, she hoped she would never have to use those skills in her quiet neighborhood. She wanted to live peacefully, without fear or conflict. One afternoon, as Maya was coming home from the grocery store, she noticed the group of young people standing near the corner of her street. They were louder than usual, laughing and shouting. Maya felt a small knot of worry in her stomach. She held Max's leash tightly and kept Roxy close by her side. The dogs sensed her unease and stayed alert, their ears moving to catch every sound. Maya tried to walk past quickly, hoping to avoid any trouble, but one of the young men called out to her. His voice was sharp and the words made Maya feel uncomfortable. She didn't answer. Instead, she kept walking calmly, without showing fear. Max and Roxy stayed close, their eyes watching the group, carefully. As Maya reached her house, she locked the door behind her and took a deep breath. She loved her home and the quiet life she wanted to live there. But now she knew that not everyone in the neighborhood shared the same respect and kindness. Maya felt determined to protect herself and her dogs no matter what. That night, Maya sat on her porch with Max and Roxy lying next to her. The moonlight shone softly on their fur. She thought about her life, her time in the military, and how much she had changed since then. She also thought about the future, about keeping her home safe and standing strong even when faced with challenges. Max looked up at her, his eyes full of trust. Roxy rested her head on Maya's lap. In that quiet moment, Maya felt a deep connection with her dogs. They were more than pets. They were her family and her protectors. Together, they were ready to face whatever came next. The neighborhood might seem peaceful to many, but Maya knew better now. Sometimes, even in the quietest places, there can be hidden dangers. But Maya was not afraid. She had the courage to stand tall and the love of her loyal dogs to keep her safe. As the night grew darker, Maya whispered softly to Max and Roxy, "We will face this together. No one will harm us." The dogs wagged their tails gently as if they understood every word. And in that moment, Maya felt hope that kindness and courage could shine brighter than fear and hate. Days passed and Maya continued with her normal life, but she couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. The group of young people who had made her uncomfortable were still around, and they seemed to watch her every time she stepped outside. Maya noticed them more clearly now. Their eyes followed her and their voices carried a tone that made her uneasy. One afternoon, as Maya was watering her small garden, she saw the group again across the street. This time, they were gathered in a circle, talking quietly but glancing in her direction. Max and Roxy noticed them too. Max's ears perked up and Roxy stood by Maya's side, alert and ready. Maya knew she couldn't ignore the situation any longer. She thought about what to do. She wanted to keep peace but also needed to protect herself. She remembered her training from the military, to stay calm, observe, and be prepared. Maya decided she would not let fear control her life. That evening, Maya sat down with Max and Roxy and went over some commands she had taught them during their time together in the military. She spoke softly, giving them clear directions. The dogs obeyed quickly, showing their discipline and readiness. Maya felt comforted knowing that they were not only her companions, but also her protectors. The next day, Maya took a different route on her morning walk with the dogs. She wanted to avoid the group, but at the same time she hoped to send a message that she was not afraid to be seen or heard. As they passed by a small park, she noticed some neighbors she hadn't talked to before. She smiled and said hello, hoping to build more connections in the community. One of the neighbors, an older man named Mr. Lewis, stopped to chat. He had lived in the neighborhood for many years and was known for his kindness. Maya told him about the group that had been causing her concern. Mr. Lewis nodded thoughtfully. "You're not alone," he said. "Sometimes these things happen, but if we all look out for each other, the neighborhood can stay strong. Let me know if you ever need help." Maya felt grateful for the support. It reminded her that even when there are challenges, community and friendship can make a difference. She promised herself to keep reaching out and building those connections. That evening, the group of young people came closer to Maya's street. This time they were louder, their voices carrying across the block. Maya heard words that were meant to upset her, but she stayed calm. Max and Roxy stood by her side, steady and alert but not aggressive. Maya knew that showing strength and calmness was the best way to handle the situation. She called her closest friends and told them what was happening. They encouraged her to stay strong and reminded her that she was never alone. Their words gave Maya more courage and hope. She realized that the problem wasn't hers alone to solve. It was a community challenge. Maya also thought about the dogs. Max and Roxy had been through a lot with her during their military days. They had faced tough situations and had always stayed calm and ready to protect. Now they were retired, but their training was still very strong. Maya knew that if anything ever happened, they would be there to keep her safe. Days turned into weeks and the group didn't stop their behavior. Sometimes they shouted from across the street. Other times they left signs that were meant to scare Maya. But she refused to let them win. Each morning she woke up determined to live her life on her own terms. One afternoon, Maya found herself standing outside her house, watching the street quietly. Max and Roxy lay close to her feet, calm but watchful. The group was nearby again, but this time Maya didn't look away. She met their eyes with quiet confidence. It was a small moment, but it felt like a victory. Maya's calm and steady presence began to change how some neighbors saw the situation. More people started talking about respect and kindness. They realized that fear could not rule their community if they stood together. At night, Maya would sit on her porch with Max and Roxy, feeling the cool breeze and the quiet stars above. She thought about how important it was to keep faith in good things, friendship, courage, and love. The dogs rested their heads on her lap, a silent promise that they would face whatever came together. Though the group's words still echoed sometimes, Maya knew she was ready for whatever the future held. She was not alone. Her dogs were by her side, loyal and brave. And her community was beginning to awaken to the need for kindness and respect. Maya's heart was steady. She knew that sometimes strength was shown not in anger or shouting, but in quiet courage and the ability to stand tall when others try to bring you down. With Max and Roxy, she felt ready for the days ahead, no matter what they might bring. One evening, as the sun began to set and the sky turned soft shades of orange and pink, Maya prepared to take Max and Roxy out for their usual walk. The neighborhood looked calm, with a few lights starting to glow from windows and street lamps. Maya felt the peacefulness around her but kept her senses alert. She knew that the group of young people who had been troubling her were still nearby. and anything could happen. Max and Roxy were excited, wagging their tails as they waited by the door. They always loved their walks, not just for the fresh air, but for the chance to explore the world outside. Maya clipped their leashes on carefully, giving each a gentle pat and a soft word of encouragement. She trusted them completely. They were not just pets, they were her family, her loyal protectors, and her friends. As they stepped outside, Maya noticed the group of young people gathered a little further down the street, their voices louder than usual. She felt a small wave of concern, but did not show it. Instead, she held her head high and walked confidently, with Max and Roxy by her side, moving in perfect harmony. The dogs stayed close, scanning the surroundings with sharp eyes and ears. Max's strong presence seemed to calm Maya as much as it warned anyone nearby that she was not alone. Roxy's steady steps matched Maya's pace, ready to respond if needed. The bond between Maya and her dogs was clear. They understood each other without many words, and that gave Maya strength. As they passed the group, the young people began to move toward them, their tone more serious this time. Maya stopped for a moment, keeping her voice calm and steady. She spoke clearly, telling them that she wanted peace and respect for everyone in the neighborhood. Her words surprised some of the young people. They had expected fear or anger, but instead heard calm and confidence. Max and Roxy sat quietly but stayed alert, their eyes never leaving the group. Maya could see a few of the young people hesitating. They looked unsure about what to do next. Maya's calmness was powerful, and the dog's steady presence made it clear she was ready to protect herself if needed, but only to keep everyone safe. The group stopped and said nothing for a moment. Then slowly, they backed away and disappeared down a nearby street. Maya watched them go, feeling relief but also pride. She had faced the situation with courage and grace, supported by her loyal dogs. After that evening, Maya noticed a change in the neighborhood. Some neighbors began to smile more when they saw her walking with Max and Roxy. Others nodded or said hello, as if recognizing the quiet strength Maya showed. It was a small change, but it felt like hope. One day, Maya decided to visit a local community center nearby. She wanted to find ways to bring people together and make the neighborhood a safer, kinder place. Max and Roxy waited patiently by the door as Maya talked to community leaders and neighbors who cared about the neighborhood's future. She shared her story, not to complain, but to inspire others. Maya talked about the importance of respect, kindness, and standing up for what is right, even when it is not easy. Her message touched many people, and soon a plan was made to hold regular neighborhood meetings to talk and work together. Maya felt hopeful. She realized that change could happen when people come together with good intentions. Max and Roxy were always close by, reminding her that she was never alone in her journey. Even though the group of young people had not completely disappeared, their power seemed to fade. The neighborhood was becoming stronger, united by shared respect and kindness. Maya's calm courage, supported by the faithful presence of her dogs, was making a difference. At night, Maya sat on her porch again, the soft light of the stars above, and the gentle sounds of the neighborhood around her. Max and Roxy lay beside her, tired but happy. She smiled and gently stroked their fur, feeling grateful for their loyalty and love. Maya knew there would still be challenges ahead, but she also knew that with patience, courage, and the support of her friends, both human and canine, she could face anything. The peacefulness she had once hoped for was beginning to grow step by step. In those quiet moments under the stars, Maya whispered softly, "We are ready. Together we will keep this neighborhood safe and strong." Max gave a soft bark and Roxy rested her head on Maya's knee, a silent promise that they would face the future side by side. The story of Maya and her dogs was not just about facing difficulties. It was about hope, courage, and the quiet power of standing tall with love and trust. And for Maya, that was enough to keep moving forward, every day, every step, with Max and Roxy by her side. After the evening, when Maya calmly faced the group with Max and Roxy by her side, things in the neighborhood began to slowly change. The small acts of kindness and respect that Maya showed inspired others. People who had once stayed quiet started to speak up and look out for one another. It was as if a gentle wave of hope and courage was moving through the streets. Maya felt a new sense of strength. She was no longer just a woman trying to protect herself. She was becoming a symbol of quiet courage for the community. More neighbors began to greet her warmly during her walks. Some even stopped to ask about Max and Roxy, curious about the dog's history and impressed by their calm behavior. The community center meetings that Maya helped organize started to bring people together. Families, older residents, and young people came to talk openly about what they wanted for their neighborhood. Maya shared her experience honestly, not to blame anyone, but to encourage understanding and change. One afternoon after a meeting, Maya walked home with Max and Roxy feeling hopeful. The street seemed friendlier, and the sounds of children playing echoed in the distance. She realized that standing up with kindness and calm had made a difference. It was not about confrontation, but about building respect and trust. However, Maya also knew that real change took time. The group that had caused trouble still appeared now and then, but they were no longer as bold or loud. Many of the young people began to see that their actions did not have the power they once thought. Maya's calm strength, along with the support from neighbors, made it clear that the community was united. One day, Maya found a letter slipped under her door. It was a simple note, written with careful handwriting. "We are sorry for what happened. We want to change." Maya smiled softly. The note was a sign that even those who once caused trouble were starting to rethink their actions. Instead of feeling angry, Maya felt hopeful. She believed that people could learn and grow when given a chance. She decided to reach out to those young people with an offer to join the community meetings and work together for a better neighborhood. To Maya's surprise, some of them accepted. They came to listen, to talk, and to understand how their behavior affected others. Maya saw in their eyes the possibility of change, a desire to be part of something positive. Max and Roxy became quiet heroes in the neighborhood. Their gentle presence reminded everyone that strength did not come from fear, but from loyalty, discipline, and love. Maya often watched neighbors stop to pet the dogs or smile as they passed by. At home, Maya kept her routine with Max and Roxy. Every evening, they sat together on the porch, sharing peaceful moments. Maya felt grateful for the companionship and protection her dogs gave her. They had been through many challenges in the military, and now they helped bring peace to her life in a new way. One night, as Maya looked up at the stars, she thought about the journey they had all been on. From fear and worry to hope and courage, the neighborhood was healing. Maya felt proud not only of herself and her dogs, but also of the community that was coming together. She whispered to Max and Roxy, "This is just the beginning. Together we can build a place where everyone feels safe and respected." The dogs rested quietly, their calm presence comforting Maya's heart. The story of Maya and her dogs was no longer just about protection. It had become a story of forgiveness, growth, and unity. It showed that even when faced with challenges, people could choose kindness and courage to create a better future. Maya knew the road ahead might still have some bumps, but she was ready. With her loyal friends by her side and a community that cared, she felt strong enough to face whatever came next. And so, in a neighborhood that once seemed quiet but tense, a new chapter was beginning. One filled with hope, friendship, and the quiet power of standing together. Weeks turned into months, and Maya's life slowly settled into a new rhythm. The fear and tension that had once filled the air were replaced with a growing sense of peace and unity. The small acts of kindness, the brave conversations, and the calm strength Maya had shown were now shaping the neighborhood in a beautiful way. Maya still walked Max and Roxy every morning and every evening. The three of them had become a familiar and comforting sight on the streets. Children would wave at them from their porches. Elderly neighbors smiled warmly and shared stories as Maya passed by. Even the young people who once kept their distance now greeted her politely, sometimes even joining her on short walks or talking to her about the dogs. One day, a young boy named Jordan came running up to Maya. He looked excited and a little nervous. "Miss Maya," he said, "my teacher wants us to write about someone we look up to, and I want to write about you and your dogs." Maya was touched. She smiled, knelt down beside Jordan, and gently patted his shoulder. "That means a lot," she replied. "But remember, being brave doesn't always mean being strong on the outside. Sometimes it just means staying kind even when things are hard." Jordan nodded thoughtfully and ran back to tell his teacher. Maya watched him go with a smile on her face. She hadn't planned to become a role model. She had just done what felt right. To stay calm, to protect herself, and to bring people together. As time passed, Maya continued her work at the community center. She helped organize neighborhood cleanups, garden projects, and even pet care workshops. She taught children how to care for animals, showing them how love and patience could build trust. Max and Roxy became part of the lessons too. The kids loved watching them follow commands with ease and loyalty. Maya often shared simple stories about her time with the dogs during their military days. Not about war or danger, but about teamwork, discipline, and friendship. The children listened with wide eyes, imagining the bond between a person and a dog that could protect and comfort each other, no matter what. The group of young people who had once bothered Maya were now regular faces at the community center. Some of them had started helping with events, planting flowers in public spaces, or reading to younger children. Maya didn't ask what had changed in their hearts. She simply accepted them with the same quiet kindness that had started everything. One afternoon, Maya received an invitation to speak at a local school. The principal had heard about her story and wanted the students to learn from her example. At first, Maya wasn't sure if she should go. She didn't think of herself as someone important. But after a gentle nudge from a few neighbors and a warm nudge from Max's nose, she said yes. On the day of the talk, Maya stood in front of the students with Max and Roxy beside her. She spoke in a gentle voice, using simple words. "I was once very afraid," she told them. "Not because I was weak, but because I didn't know if anyone would stand with me. But then I remembered something I had learned in the military, that strength doesn't always come from being loud or tough. Sometimes it comes from being calm, kind, and true to yourself." She told them how her dogs had helped her stay strong, how her neighbors had started to care more, and how even those who once caused trouble had changed when given a chance. Her words were honest and filled with hope. When she finished, the room was quiet for a moment, then filled with applause. After the event, a teacher came up to her with tears in her eyes. "You've given us something special today," she said. "You've reminded us that anyone can make a difference." Maya thanked her and left the school with a full heart. She knew that small seeds of change had been planted again, and in time they would grow. That evening, as the sun set in golden colors across the sky, Maya sat on her porch with Max and Roxy. The breeze was soft, the world quiet and peaceful. She watched as families walked by, neighbors chatted on sidewalks, and laughter echoed from homes. Max rested his head on Maya's knee, and Roxy curled up beside her feet. Maya gently stroked their fur, whispering softly, "We did it. We helped change something, not with fear, but with kindness and trust." She closed her eyes for a moment and felt deep peace. Her journey had not been easy, but it had been meaningful. She had faced fear with courage, answered unkindness with calm, and met uncertainty with hope. The neighborhood had become more than just a place to live. It had become a true community. And Maya, with her faithful dogs by her side, had helped it get there. In the days that followed, Maya continued her work with quiet dedication. She didn't seek praise or reward. She simply kept walking, helping, and listening. And wherever she went, Max and Roxy were right beside her, loyal, loving, and ready to share in whatever came next. Their story was no longer just about one woman and her dogs. It was about everyone who had chosen to be a little kinder, a little braver, and a little more united. And in that story, there was no final chapter, only the promise of more good days ahead, written together, step by step, heart by heart.